He hacked governments until he started working for one. For years, he was known only by a single name whispered across hacker forums and IRC channels: Sabu. To his followers, he was a digital Robin Hood, fearless, sharp, and always one step ahead of the law. To governments around the world, he was a nightmare. But to the FBI, eventually, he became something else entirely. His story begins not in a high-tech lab or a shadowy warehouse, but in a cramped apartment in New York City. A young man with a second-hand laptop, an unstable internet connection, and a restless mind. He grew up surrounded by poverty and instability. No safety net, no clear path out. But on the internet, things were different. Online, he wasn't invisible. He was powerful. His first hacks were small: website defacements, pranks, data dumps for clout. But as his skills grew, so did his ambitions. He learned how networks really worked, how governments stored data, and how companies secured or failed to secure their systems. He devoured everything he could: code, exploits, vulnerabilities. And eventually, he found a community of like-minded rebels, a group of hackers who called themselves Anonymous. It was the early 2000s, and Anonymous wasn't just a hacker collective, it was a movement. They claimed to fight corruption, censorship, and hypocrisy. Their targets were often political: corporations accused of abuse, governments restricting freedom of speech, even intelligence agencies. Within that digital storm, Sabu rose to prominence. He had charisma, leadership, and the rare ability to coordinate chaos. Soon, he helped form a splinter group, lulzsec. They were faster, bolder, and more chaotic than anything before them. Their motto said it all: laughing at your security since 2011. lulzsec tore through corporate and government systems with ease. They hacked Sony Pictures, Fox, PBS, the CIA, and several law enforcement agencies. They leaked emails, passwords, classified data, not for money, but for spectacle. Every attack was a headline. Every breach, a digital middle finger to authority. At the center of it all, Sabu became both a leader and a symbol. He coordinated operations, recruited members, and taunted the world on Twitter. But behind the bravado, the reality was darker. He was unemployed, broke, and living with the constant fear that a knock on the door would end it all. That knock came one night in 2011. FBI agents surrounded his building. They knew who he was. They had tracked his digital footprints, small mistakes he never thought would matter. Within hours, Sabu, whose real name was Hector Monsegur, was sitting in a federal interrogation room. They showed him the evidence: logs, timestamps, messages, years of digital rebellion condensed into a legal mountain of crimes that could put him away for decades. He was facing prison, separation from his family, and the loss of everything. But then, they offered him a deal. Work with us. Help us catch the others. And you can stay free. It wasn't a simple decision. But Hector had a family, 2 young children, and a chance to keep them from growing up without a father. So he agreed. From that day on, Sabu became an informant. His keyboard, once a weapon against governments, now worked for one. For months, he stayed active in hacker chats, still using his old aliases, still leading operations. But now, every keystroke was being monitored by the FBI. Every message was logged, every target traced. Through him, authorities identified and arrested multiple members of lulzsec and Anonymous. What had been an unbreakable network of hackers began to crumble. Some of his closest allies were caught and sentenced, while others disappeared entirely. Online, Sabu became a traitor, the man who sold out the movement. But in the eyes of law enforcement, he became something more, an asset. After the dust settled, he didn't return to crime. Instead, he turned his knowledge into a new kind of power: defense. He began consulting for cybersecurity firms, teaching companies and agencies how to protect themselves from the kinds of attacks he once orchestrated. His understanding of hacker psychology, his ability to think like an intruder, made him invaluable. He wasn't just another ex-hacker trying to go straight. He was living proof that even the most notorious cybercriminal could become a protector. Over the years, he worked quietly, advising on threat intelligence, penetration testing, and cyber warfare strategies. Occasionally, he spoke publicly, not to glorify his past, but to warn about the dangers of underestimating the power of code and the speed of the internet. Yet, redemption in the digital world is complicated. For many in the hacking community, Sabu will always be a traitor, the man who betrayed his friends for freedom. For others, he represents evolution, the realization that skill and purpose don't have to live on the wrong side of the law. And that brings us to a deeper question: can a hacker ever truly turn white? Ethical hacking is now a legitimate career path. Companies pay bug bounties to those who find vulnerabilities. Governments hire former hackers to strengthen national defense. But the line between hacker and hero remains blurry. The same mindset that leads someone to exploit a system is often what makes them brilliant at defending it. Curiosity, defiance, and a hunger to see how things work. Those traits don't vanish. They just find new direction. For Hector Monsegur, that direction came with hard lessons. He's spoken openly about the paranoia that still follows him, the distrust from both sides, the constant awareness that redemption online is never absolute. Once your name is burned into digital history, you can't delete it. But he's also proof of something hopeful, that the same intelligence used to break can also be used to build. He hacked governments, then he protected them. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes him the most dangerous kind of hacker of all, the one who's seen both sides of the screen. This is Data Heist, the dark side of data. Subscribe for more digital heists from the dark side of our connected world.